What's up guys, Dice here, and this time we'll be talking about the making of Chapter 2 of my Umamusume Spinoff set in Puerto Rico. While the second chapter of the Verset arc looks great, as always thanks to Juan, this is what I came up with beforehand. As you can see, the storyboard was finished before Juan completed the character design, so once again, the characters barely resemble their final look. Another thing you'll notice is how much creative license Juan took to make sure each panel had a dynamic look and angle. Otherwise, everything would look too basic and samey. Something else I forgot to mention in the previous making of video is how the full title of the series I wrote down was Umádromo, the Puerto Rican doujin for Umamusume. This is something related to my own personal journey throughout the making of all of this. See, back when I was in high school, I'd played tons of doujin games like Battle Moon Wars and Tohomon. And I remember back in the day, I wanted to do something like that, thinking it was pretty cool that titles like Tsukihime were made at a time when, in that game's case, Type Moon was just a doujin circle. But I tried rationalizing why I'd never simply just do it by justifying that, the doujin scene and otaku culture in general is something that only exists in Japan. Nothing like that can ever exist in Puerto Rico. Plus other things like how people that do art and writing always typically have a personal story where they always say they've been doing it since they were very little, which made me think, I'm too old to try getting into this now. Eventually last year I thought to myself, wait, what if all that stuff I used to say to justify not doing anything cool didn't matter? So I got into writing, contacted a few artists, and now several months later, here we are. So bottom line, I know calling this the Puerto Rican doujin is weird as all hell, but I do that deliberately to now justify to myself that yes, this was always possible. Doesn't matter if the culture isn't here, just do it already. So for the first panel, we got Jet sorta confronting the new trainer. She's not thrilled about having to follow this guy's orders, especially when she didn't do so with the previous trainer either. For the Verset arc, originally I had a much harsher personality in mind for Jet, as you know. I mentioned this before in her character profile, but what I didn't mention is that the trainer was also going to have a very different look and personality from what he currently has. In the first draft, he had glasses, semi-curly hair, and had a slightly hunched over look to seem even smaller than he currently did. Even the general vibe he gave was going to be very different. So he was going to be a lot more introverted and afraid of confronting Jet, her being the more dominant personality. I know it's not the same thing, but think someone like the main character of Nagatoro, and that's more along the lines of how he'd come across. Of course, when Jet's personality was rewritten, I knew the dynamic I had for them just didn't work anymore, so the trainer had to be changed too. Ultimately, he's now a lot more confident and bold, almost like a shonen protagonist, but I made sure to specify that he'd look a lot more baby-faced than the other characters so that Jet would have immediate reasons to dismiss the trainer off rip. So for the second panel, the dialogue here was difficult for me to make sure it was both short and to the point, while also conveying all the necessary information to the viewers in a natural way. As you can see from my scanned page, I erased and rewrote this a lot more times than I'd like to admit, but I think I did a pretty good job in the end, if I do say so myself. Let me know in the comment section if you agree or if you disagreed, and please also let me know if I could have worded this part in a bit better. And for the third panel, we have the old trainer literally jumping away from the scene, never to be seen in this series again. Now, this is a very weird scene, but I remember when I began writing this with the intention of a Puerto Rican Umamusume spinoff, I wanted to make sure that even the background characters that make up the general population of PR felt like a real character unto themselves. I wrote them with my own personal experiences of growing up in PR in mind, where there were tons of times where I felt like the normal people around me were anything but normal. If I could use an example from a pre-existing series, think of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and how the random New Yorkers there are these really weird people that make the costumed fighting that goes on in the movies seem like the most normal part of that world. And for the last panel, you'll notice something different from the final version of the story. You see, in it, Dancer claims that Jet wanted to be the best Umamusume in the world since she was little. I wrote it like that specifically because I wanted it to seem similar to Special Week's dreams of becoming the best in the world too. Just the one problem. Special Week never said she wanted to be the best in the world, rather she wanted to be the best in Japan specifically. So I changed the dialogue to now reference that Jet wanted to be the best in Puerto Rico specifically instead. The only other thing I'd mention now is how every chapter does have its own title, at least in this storyboard section. I haven't titled chapters in their final releases yet. I don't think it's super necessary, but I'm probably gonna end up having to add the titles anyway in the Substack. which you can now visit by clicking the link in the description below. And while you're visiting the description, make sure you give Juan a visit by clicking over to the Instagram page link there and check out all the cool art he made. Anyway guys, chapter 3 will take a while to cook, but in the meantime, we still got cool things coming right up. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to keep up with all my Umamusume Spinoff chapter releases and behind the scenes videos. Adios.